Hi everyone and welcome to Yoga for Everybody. My name's Claudia and today we're going to continue working on our beginner level poses. So we're continuing with the beginner yoga series, and for the next few weeks actually I've come up with a theme for each class. So I've put all the themes on my Facebook page so you can check it out. But in today's class, we're going to be focusing on shoulder mobility and posture. So all the poses we're going to do are going to help us with the mobility of the shoulders, improving the posture, maybe strengthening the upper back a little bit. And everything is going to be targeted to beginner level students, but obviously intermediate practitioners are more than welcome to join as a reminder of the poses, but also just as a maybe class that you do on your lighter days. If you've missed the previous few sessions, you can go back and look over the foundation yoga poses that we learned in lessons 1 to 6. Otherwise, you can jump straight into this class and hopefully you will enjoy it. As always, please let me know what you think of the class in comments. Do subscribe to my channel, give me a like if you like this video. That will really help with the channel coming up in other people's news. Follow me on Facebook, maybe connect with me on Instagram, and otherwise I hope you enjoy today's class. Let's begin. Today I'd like to begin standing, so come to the front of your mats and then have your feet either about hip width apart or even maybe slightly wider than hip width apart. Have your arms by your sides, and all we're going to do to start with is gently start swaying side to side, so just moving your arms to one side and then the other. Take it at your own pace. You can do it as slowly or as quickly as feels good. We're just trying to kind of start warming up the spine a little bit. And you can start increasing the movement, so moving your arms out a bit more. See how that feels in your back today. Just continue doing this for a couple more breaths. And then start slowly decreasing the range of movement and come back to stillness. And then bring your feet about hip width apart. And on an inhale, we're just going to lift the arms up and then lower them back down. One more time, lift the arms up. Maybe follow up with the gaze and then lower them back down. Inhale, arms up. And exhale back down. On your next inhale, lift your arms up, and on an exhale we're going to fold forward, so bend the knees as much as you need to and just lower your chest over your thighs. You can grab hold of the back of your legs, maybe bring your fingertips to the mat. Just relax the neck and the head. You can shake it yes and no, no tension in your back, your neck, your head. Everything's nice and relaxed, and we're just going to hang here for a couple of breaths. So you can just have the fingertips down. You can maybe grab hold of the elbows. You can even gently sway side to side. Again, releasing the tension in the spine, exploring the mobility. Notice how you're feeling in the back today. And then come back to stillness again. Bring your hands to your shins, and on an inhale we're going to lift the chest off the thighs and just look forwards, making a flat back. Now you can keep the knees bent, or you can maybe straighten the legs depending on what feels good for you today. Just hang here for a moment, so make sure the back is nice and long, the neck is relaxed, shoulders are relaxed. Inhale. On an exhale, fold forwards. Now this time, having your fingertips to the mat or maybe to the blocks or to the shins. See if you can maybe straighten one leg at a time. Just a little bit of exploration for the back of the legs. See how that feels in your the back of your legs today. And then again, come back to stillness. Inhale, let's make a flat back one more time. So hands to your shins, look forwards. And then on an exhale, fold forwards, bending the knees as much as you need to have your hands flat to the floor. We're going to take a step back into a plank. So if you're a complete beginner and you're still building your strength, you're welcome to drop your knees down onto the floor and have a plank, a modified plank with your knees down. If you feel like you've got the strength, try a full plank with your legs straight. Make sure your shoulders are over your wrists, your chest is in between your shoulders, so you're not kind of leaning back or forwards, you're not sagging down or up, your back is nice and long, tailbone is lengthening towards the back of the room, engage your belly, core muscles are engaged. Let's just hold this for one more breath. And then drop your knees down onto the floor, coming into a tabletop position. So again, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. We're going to continue warming up the spine with a few cycles of cat-cow. So on an inhale, you're going to start dropping your belly down, lift your chest forwards and look forward, so arching the spine. And then on an exhale, round the back, bring your chin towards your chest and look down. So really feel this in between the shoulder blades. Inhale, arch the spine and look forwards. And exhale, round the back and look down, and you can release the toes in this pose. Inhale, arch the spine, look forwards. And exhale, round the back and look down. And then inhale, come into neutral spine. Straighten the left leg back, so stretch it back but keep your toes on the floor, and then press back with your left heel, so feel the stretch at the back of your left leg. And then make sure your left shoulder is over your left wrist. On an inhale, we're going to stretch the right arm forwards, and then on an exhale, we're going to circle it all the way to the back of the room. Really great move for the shoulder mobility. Inhale forwards and exhale back, and you can follow your arm with your gaze if you want to. Forwards, exhale back, 2 more times. Inhale forwards, exhale, stretch it back. Inhale forwards, exhale, stretch it back. And then lift your right arm forwards and see if you can lift your left foot off the floor into a balance. Doesn't have to be very high. Hold, make sure the back's neutral, spine's neutral. And then exhale, release, and we'll switch sides. So stretch the right leg back. Have your right toes on the floor. Press back with your right heel. Right shoulder is over your right wrist. Inhale, lift your left arm forwards, and exhale, let's start circling it to the back. Inhale forwards and exhale back. I think it's a movement that you do in swimming, but not in any other kind of sport, so really, really good for the shoulders. A couple more times. Inhale forwards, exhale back, and inhale forwards, exhale back. And then stretch the left arm forwards and see if you can lift your right foot off the floor into a balance. Hold. And then exhale, drop everything down onto the mat. From here, let's tuck the toes, and we're going to lift our hips up into our first downward facing dog. So just make sure your fingers are spreading nice and wide. Lifting up. You can keep the knees bent. Or if you're feeling nice and open in your hamstrings, you can straighten the legs, whatever works for you today. So making sure you're hip width apart with your feet and shoulder width apart with your hands. Really press into your hands and focus on lengthening the spine and stretching your hips up. And then maybe you can lower one heel down at a time if your hamstrings are tight. I quite like moving around in my down dog, but if that doesn't work for you, you can always just drop your heels down and stay stationary. One more breath. And then we're going to step the right foot in between your hands. So remember, your options are you can drop down onto your knees and step your right foot in between the hands using your hand to guide it through, or if you want to try something different, take an inhale. On an exhale, bring your right knee to your chest, round the spine, and then bring your shoulders over your wrists and see if you can step your right foot in between your hands. Let's drop the left knee down onto the floor, roll into the area just above your left kneecap, and then making sure right knee is over the right ankle. Inhale, lift your arms up and just take a stretch. One deep breath in. On an exhale, release your fingertips down onto the floor, and then see if you can lift your left knee off the floor into a runner's lunge. Again, press back with your left heel, right knee is over your right ankle. And when you're ready, we're going to come up into a crescent lunge. So lifting the hands up. Deep breath in. And then on an exhale, you're going to bend your elbows out to the side, so 90 degrees cactus arms. If you're finding this position too challenging to hold with your left knee up, you can always drop the knee down on the floor and do the next exercise with your left knee down. Otherwise, take an inhale. On an exhale, lean forwards until you're about 45 degrees with your body. Engage the core muscles. Watch your right knee, make sure it's not falling in, out, not going over the toes. Take a breath in, lift your elbows out, feel the squeeze in between your shoulder blades. And then on an exhale, you're going to bring your elbows to touch and your palms. Feel the stretch in the shoulder blades. Inhale, lift your arms out to the side, so elbows up, squeezing the shoulder blades. Exhale, bring your elbows together. One more time, inhale, out, and exhale together. Two more times. Inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades, and then bring your elbows to touch. One last time, inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades, and exhale, elbows to touch. And then lift your arms up, come back into a crescent lunge. On an exhale, lower your hands down onto the mat. Step your right leg back into a plank, dropping the knees down if you need to. Let's just hold a plank for one more breath, building a bit of strength, a bit of heat in our body. And then drop your knees down, keeping the elbows in. Lower your chest and your chin down onto the floor. Straighten the legs, release the toes. Press down with your toes, hands underneath your shoulders. Let's lift the chest up into a cobra. So we're starting with a baby one. Make sure your elbows are pressing into your rib cage. Your elbows are bent and you're just lifting as high as feels comfortable for the back. Exhale, release, tuck the toes, press back up into a modified plank or a full plank, and then back into downward facing dog. Deep breath in down dog. We're going to repeat the same poses on the left leg. So stepping the left foot in between your hands when you're ready. You can always drop your knees down first, or on an exhale, elbow to chest, round the spine, shoulders over your wrist, and then see if you can step it through. It might work, it might not, it might take time. So just work at your own level. Drop the right knee down onto the floor, and on an inhale, lift your arms up for a stretch. Maybe gaze up towards your fingertips. On an exhale, bring your hands back down onto the mat, fingertips down, and then see if you can lift the right knee off the mat. Press back with your right heel. Also feel the stretch in the right hip flexor here. And then when you're ready, inhale, lift your arms up into a crescent lunge. If you're doing this class and you're like, oh God, I'm not sure what all these poses are, please go back to the first few lessons that I did in this series, because it explains about each pose in detail. On an exhale, bend your elbows out to the sides, so 90 degrees. Same exercise on this side, so if you need to, you can drop your right knee down onto the floor. Otherwise, keep it up, a bit of leg work as well. Start leaning forwards until you're about 45 degrees with your body. Inhale, squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then exhale, bring your elbows to touch. So rounding the spine. Inhale, lift your elbows up, squeeze the shoulder blades. And exhale, bring them back together. Inhale, up. And exhale, elbows together 2 more times. Inhale, squeeze. Exhale, release. And one more time, inhale, squeeze. And then exhale, bring your elbows to touch. Inhale, lift your arms up, crescent lunge. Exhale, lower your hands back down to the mat. Let's step back into a plank. Again, holding plank for a breath. Feel free to drop your knees, but maybe try just for another second or two to hold full plank. And then knees down, elbows in, chest chin down onto the mat. Straighten the legs, release the toes. Inhale, lift your chest up, either into a baby cobra, or maybe you can start working your arms in the direction of straight for a deeper back bend, whatever feels good for you. Exhale, release, press back into tabletop or plank, and then downward facing dog. Deep breath in down dog. If your shoulders are aching, please feel free to drop your knees down onto the mat and sit back in child's pose, take a rest, pause the video, don't torture yourself, you're not doing your body any favours, so if you're feeling tired, please just take a rest. Otherwise, step the right foot in between your hands one more time, so whichever variation you like, you can drop the knees down first, or maybe bring your knee into your chest, and then step your right foot in between your hands. Keeping the left knee off the mat, let's inhale and come up into a crescent lunge. Deep breath. On an exhale, we're going to interlace the hands behind the back. So if you're struggling here, what might be useful is to go and grab a towel or a strap or something that you can grab hold of. Or if you haven't got anything, maybe just see if you can lift or keep your arms lifting up, squeezing your shoulder blades together, palms facing down. Otherwise, let's interlace the hands. And then see if you can start straightening the arms. Just glide your hands down your left leg, lifting the chest up, opening the shoulders. Really good stretch for the shoulders here. Maybe look up. And again, you can always drop the left knee down onto the mat if you need to. Stay here for another breath or two, or if you want a deeper stretch, see if you can start folding forwards on the inside of your right foot, bringing your arms up. And again, should feel quite an intense stretch in the shoulders, so just be mindful. Inhale. And then release the arms. Lift your arms up, crescent lunge. On an exhale, open into warrior two, so spin your left toes towards the long edge of the mat. Maybe adjust the stance, sit a little bit deeper in this posture. Make sure the right knee is not falling in, it's in line with your second and third toe. Deep breath in, and then we're going to bring the right arm over your left, so cross it over. And a few options here, you can just place your hands onto your shoulders and give yourself a bit of a hug. Always good to do it in challenging times when you're not allowed to hug anybody else. And then lift your elbows up, you should feel a stretch in between the shoulder blades. If you feel like your shoulders permit, maybe start wrapping your arms around for eagle arms. So either one wrap or a full wrap where you grab hold of your right wrist with your left hand and then lift the elbows up. You should feel it in the front of the shoulders in particular. One more breath. And then exhale, release back into warrior two. Circle your hands back down onto the mat, lift the left heel off the floor and step back into a plank. Lower down all the way onto the mat so you can drop your knees down, or see If you can, maybe lower down from a full plank, keeping the elbows in, chest, chin down, release the toes, and inhale, lift up, baby cobra or a full cobra, whatever works for you. Shoulders are not lifting up, so they're nice and relaxed. Exhale, release, tuck the toes, and lift back up into plank and down dog. Deep breathing here. Same poses on the other leg. So when you're ready, take an inhale, and on an exhale, step your left foot in between your hands. Keeping the right up, right knee off the floor. Suppress the heel back, and then inhale, lift your arms up for a crescent lunge. And then interlace your hands behind your back one more time. Try and switch the cross of your fingers, so the dominant finger is at the bottom now, or hold on to the towel. And then see if you can start straightening the arms. Bring your hands back, your right leg. Lift your chest forwards, opening the shoulders. Maybe look up. And then stay here for a couple more breaths. Maybe drop the right knee down if you're struggling. Or see if you can fold forwards on the outside of your left knee, lifting your arms up while they're still interlaced. Inhale. And then release, come back up into crescent lunge. On an exhale, let's open into warrior two. So adjust the stance to whatever feels comfortable for you, but just make sure your left knee is not going over your toes. Take a breath in, and this time left arm over your right, either hands to your shoulders, giving yourself a bit of a hug, or keep wrapping your arms once or twice until your left hand's grabbing hold of your, right hand's grabbing hold of your left wrist. Here we are. And then maybe lift your elbows up and hold, so eagle arms. And then unwrap back into warrior two. Circle your hands back down onto the mat. Lift your right heel up. Step back into a plank. And we're going to lower all the way down onto the floor. Release the toes, and this time stretch your hands forwards. So we're going to do a bit of a back strengthening exercise. And then on an inhale, see if you can lift your right hand and your left foot off the floor. It doesn't have to be high, just as high as feels comfortable for you. Exhale, release, and switch sides. And keep switching sides. Inhale, exhale, release, switch sides. And just do this 2 or 3 more times in your own time. You should really start feeling the muscles in your back activating. Really good back strengthening exercise. 1 more on each side. And then exhale, release. Just lower your forehead down into the floor. Let's give our back a bit of a rest. And then when you're ready, keeping your toes down, press down into your feet, and on an inhale, see if you can lift your both arms off the floor, a couple of inches, maybe a bit higher. Hold. And then bend the elbows 90 degrees, and then see if you can lift your chest even higher. Hold. And then bring your arms back behind your palms facing down and lift. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Place your hands underneath your shoulders and just press back into a child's pose for a rest. So bring your toes together, sit back on your heels, drop your forehead down onto the floor or onto the block if you can't quite reach the floor. Quick rest, and then come back onto your belly. We're going to try a locus pose. So bring your arms by your sides, palms facing down. And then I'll give you a here really. So you can inhale, lift your chest up and maybe your arms off the floor and hold here. Or if you want a bit of a deeper shoulder stretch, see if you can interlace your hands behind your back and then lift your chest up while your hands are interlacing. That's kind of number 2. And then maybe you can add your legs, so maybe lift your legs off the floor as well. Quite a challenging pose, but really, really good for the posture. So see if you can hold it for a few more breaths. And exhale, release. Hands underneath the shoulders. Let's press back into a child's pose one more time. Resetting the spine. Deep breathing. One last time, come back onto your tummy. We're just going to stretch the front of the shoulders a bit more. So have your right hand underneath your shoulder and then stretch your left arm out to the side and then drop your left ear onto the mat so you're looking towards the right. Take an inhale and on an exhale start rolling onto your left side. So take it easy, just see how that feels in your left shoulder. Maybe you can stack your feet on top of one another, or maybe you can go even deeper, bend your right knee and place your right foot behind your left leg. And that should really, really intensify the stretch in the upper back and your left shoulder here. Just work at your own level, do not force the stretch. Deep breathing. And then wherever you are, let's come back into lying onto our tummy and switch sides. So left hand underneath your left shoulder, right arm out to the side, and just drop your right ear down onto the mat. And you know what, this could be enough for your shoulder already if you're not used to these kind of stretching, but otherwise see if you can start rolling onto your right side. Maybe stack your feet together, or maybe you can go even deeper, bend your left knee and then bring your left foot behind you, feeling the stretch in your right shoulder here. Excellent stretch for all of you out there who are working at your desk all day. Really, really good for the office workers, this stretch. One more breath and then roll back onto your belly. Let's come back into one more child's pose, just to reset the spine. And inhale, come back into a tabletop position, and we've stretched kind of the front of the shoulder. I'm going to do a little bit for the back of the shoulder, so thread the eye of the needle pose. Have your right hand on the floor, take an inhale, lift your left arm up. And on an exhale, thread it underneath your right and keep stretching it forwards until your left shoulder and your left ear are on the floor. Oh, again, brilliant stretch for all those office workers out there. Really, really good for the back of the shoulder. Now, if you're struggling to drop your shoulder down onto the floor, you can always stay up and just keep stretching your left hand forwards. If you're finding this fairly comfortable, you can experiment by bringing your right fingertips forwards, maybe stretching your hand back, maybe doing a few weird circles, or just kind of moving around, see how that feels in the back. You can also wrap your right arm around, so place your right hands into your lower back, or maybe grab hold of your left thigh with your right hand. Just take another breath here. And then unwrap, release, and come back into tabletop position, and we'll switch sides. So placing some weight in the left hand, inhale, lift your right arm up, and exhale, thread it underneath your left and stretch it as far as feels good. Maybe this is as far as you want to go today. Maybe you want to drop it onto, maybe you want to drop down onto your right shoulder and your right ear. You can use a prop, maybe a pillow or something if you want. If you're feeling this is quite a comfortable position, although it probably doesn't look very comfortable, but one of my favourite stretches. Maybe bring your left fingertips forwards, maybe bring them back, maybe do a circle, see how that feels in the spine. Maybe just stay stationary or wrap your arm around your back, place your hand on your lower back or maybe all the way onto your right thigh. And just breathe if you can. And then unwrap, come back up into a tabletop position. So shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, and we're just going to do a circle with our body or a few circles one way just to reset the spine. And then switch directions. And then come back to neutral. Cross your legs and come into a cross-legged seated posture. Have your hands to your knees, and on an inhale just lift your shoulders up, and on an exhale circle them back down. Inhale up, exhale circle them back down. Inhale up and exhale circle them back down, and then switch directions, so you're coming from the back, lifting your shoulders and then bringing them forwards and down. Back lifting up and then circling them forwards and back down. Again, just exploring the shoulder mobility, up and back down. Excellent. Let's inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, take a twist to the right. So left hand to right, knee right hand behind you, looking either directly ahead of you or maybe towards the back of the room. Inhale, come back, lift your arms up, and exhale, switch sides. Right hand to left knee, left fingertips behind you. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, let's take a side stretch to the right. So right hand down, left arm over your left ear. Just make sure your left shoulder is aligned with your left hip. Inhale, come up, lift your arms up, and switch sides. And another thing is make sure you're not lifting off your right sit bone. You're planting equally into the floor. One last time, inhale, both arms up, and exhale, fingertips back down onto the mat. And from here, just bend your knees, place your feet flat on the mat, and with control, let's lower all the way down onto the floor for our final relaxation pose, Shavasana. So just bring your knees into your chest quickly, one more time. Actually, let's take a supinal twist to finish off. So open your arms out to the sides, either arms straight or maybe you can bend the elbows so your fingertips are pointing up. Take an inhale, and on an exhale drop your knees to the right. So your knees don't have to touch the floor. If they do, great, but try and keep the left shoulder blade on the mat if you can. Inhale, come back up, and then bring your knees to the opposite side. Inhale, back up, hug your knees into your chest one last time. And exhale, release. So straighten the legs. Let your feet fall out. So you can have your legs as wide or as narrow as feels comfortable. Arms by your sides, palms facing up. And just really try and relax and feel your body sinking into the floor. So you're not tensing any part of the body. Everything's nice and relaxed. If you want to, you can go grab a pillow and a blanket to make yourself a bit more comfortable before we relax in this pose for a few minutes. Close your eyes, try and return to the natural rhythm of your breath, and try not to let your mind wander just yet to anything that you need to do after this class. What I'd like you to focus on is how your body is feeling at this particular moment in time. So just work your way up from your toes to the crown of your head. Make sure nothing is tensing. Bring your attention to the part of the body that you feel, or you might feel any tension at. Take a breath in, and on an exhale, see if you can release the tension. please stay in this Shavasana pose for as long as you've got the time, maybe a few more minutes if you haven't got anywhere to be. And then when you're ready, just roll gently onto your side and come up into a seated position. And thank you so much for joining this class today. I would really love to hear what you thought of the class in comments. Otherwise, have a beautiful rest of your day, your week, and I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.